The Monte Carlo Rally has finally arrived in the city that gives it its name. The event will finish with each car completing a run around a street stage situated on the famous harbour. These streets are more familiar to Formula One cars, as this circuit forms part of the Monaco Grand Prix. Before today's action, let's look back at what's happened before the teams arrived in Monte Carlo. The season got going on Thursday night with all eyes on reigning World Drivers' Champion Sébastien Loeb, who was competing in the Citroën C4 for the first time. But any worries about this car's ability to fill the boots of the Zara, which it had replaced, was soon put to rest. Loeb won both of these nighttime stages, and for good measure, his teammate Dani Sordo was second on both. And their domination continued throughout Friday, as this duo shared all the stage wins.
Two cars in the first place after the first complete day, so it's perfect for the team.
Marcus Gronholm had hoped to be in the mix for the top podium position this weekend, but struggled with gear selection problems and tyre choice, but still established himself in third. Solberg in the Subaru was also struggling to make an impact, but was happy with his progress in what was his first time out on BF Goodrich tyres. Solberg was being outshone by his teammate Chris Atkinson. He finished 6th on his debut here last year and was out to better that as he moved up to 4th position. This was a big step forward for the Australian on tarmac, and his pace continued on yesterday's stages when he became the first non-Citroën to win a stage this weekend with fastest time on the St Bonnet test. But Atkinson had a challenger for his position. Ford's Mikko Hirvonen was on the attack yesterday, and on stage 12 he took 4th place from Atkinson. They then swapped position on both of the following stages, which ended the day, and will go into today's Monaco Super Special, separated by just 0.8 of a second.
I think it's the first time we're going to kind of fight for the position in Super Special, and that's the last stage of the rally, so it's going to be very, very interesting.
Although the snow and ice that can make this event so difficult was absent from the mountain stages, there were still some having problems. Both Subarus got into trouble on stage 10. Henning lost time with this spin, while Petter's sharp reaction saved him and co-driver Phil Mills from a potential big off at the same corner. Marcus Gronholm also got away relatively unscathed when he was caught out by a surface change and hit this bridge on stage 12. Some damaged bodywork was all he had to worry about. But Jari-Matti Latvala would not be so lucky when he found a patch of loose gravel. He would be forced to retire because of damage to his Ford Focus's roll cage. But no such worries for the Citroëns. Loeb and Sordo were safely through the final mountain stages. The run around Monte Carlo should be little more than a lap of honour for them. So going into the final stage, Loeb leads Sordo by over 30 seconds, while Sordo's advantage over Marcus Gronholm is 52.5 seconds. But Mikko Hirvonen in 4th and Chris Atkinson in 5th are separated by just those 0.8 of a second. Petter Solberg, Tony Gardemeister and Jan Kopecky make up the rest of the top 8. So the crews have headed 390 kilometres south from Valence, their base for the last 3 days, to Monte Carlo, where just a 2.8 kilometre stage awaits them. And here is the harbour at Monte Carlo, a grandstand view available to those wealthy enough to moor their yachts here. And here's a look at the circuit. 2 cars will race at the same time, but starting at opposite points in the track. They each do 2 laps, a total of 2.8 kilometres. So what a treat in store this is for rally fans around the world. For the first time in a decade, a close-up view of the best rally drivers in the world around the most famous Formula One circuit on the planet. And on the start line now are Matthew Wilson and Gareth McHale. It's England and Ireland first up. Off goes Wilson, but Mikhail stalled on the start line, so not the getaway he was hoping for. And expect plenty of sideways action here, with all drivers having to use snow tyres for this final stage. Obviously not the same acceleration as a Formula One car, but the close proximity to the curbs and barriers will give you a real sense of the top speed of a rally car. And a bit of a lock-up there early on for Wilson as he approaches the main straight. The Brits lying 12th overall, with Mikhail a position and 2 minutes ahead. The Irishman attacking hard through the sweeping bends, approaching the swimming pool and the first split time. Well, unsurprisingly, after that start line stall, Gareth is already well off the pace, and he has had to negotiate a chicane at the end of the main straight, which Wilson hasn't yet reached. The best time so far has already been set by Wilson's Stobart teammate Henning Solberg, who's already competed the stage. Back with Matthew now, and he'll again compete in all 16 rounds this year. After a frustrating debut season, you'll hope for improvement and more consistency in 2007. Well, he's only 3.2 seconds up now, so Mikhail has made up some time somewhere. It's all only for pride, though, remember. There's little chance of Wilson catching Mikhail on the overall leaderboard, unless the Irishman makes a big mistake. There's little sign of that happening, though. Mikhail is certainly enjoying himself out there. Oh, he's dropped back again, though, and is now 5.8 seconds behind with just the final sector remaining. Wilson, with co-driver Michael Orr alongside, have entered the harbour complex for the last time, and another huge power slide to get them round the corner. Approaching the finish line now. And that should be good enough. Yes, 2.7 seconds ahead of the Irishman. David Coulthard, a two-time Monaco Grand Prix winner, passes on his knowledge of the circuit to Jan Kopecky, and you can see the Czech driver in action after the break. Jan Kopecky and Jean-Marie Quirk get ready for their run through the Monaco Super Special. But first, as the Monte-Carlo Rally celebrates its 75th running, here are a few memories of what has made this event so special. To the 2.8-kilometre Super Special around this famous old harbour. And a clean getaway for both Kopecky and Quirk. Kopecky will be loving every minute of this. We saw him earlier chatting to F1 driver and Monaco resident David Coulthard, so he may have picked up some handy tips. The Czech driver is no slouch on tarmac. His best result, a 5th place finish at last year's Rallye Catalunya. His 8th position here was coming under threat yesterday from a fired-up Jari-Matti Latvala until the Finn slid off into a wall on the final stage yesterday. So the Skoda driver is free to enjoy himself around the Harbour Super Special and secure his point-scoring finish. Joining Jean-Marie Quirk now, and the privateer from the Ardèche region has used his local knowledge to good effect this weekend, setting some impressive stage times. It's unlikely he'll improve on his 9th position, but even so, it's been a creditable performance on his first entry in a World Championship rally. Halfway round, and there's very little between the two so far. Quark has the upper hand, but only by 0.3 of a second. As expected, plenty of sliding on those snow tyres around these sweeping hairpins at either end of the circuit, and that's something you don't see a Formula One car do. Kopecky is the only privateer currently using a Skoda Fabia, and it's good to see the manufacturer represented. A huge slide around Raskas to carry as much speed as possible into the main straight. And hard on the gas into the short blast to the finish line. Who's the winner? It's Kopecky. A great second half to the stage for the Czech. He wins by 1.5 seconds. And taking a look at the Super Special times so far, it's still Henning Solberg setting the pace. He's just under a second ahead of Kopecky. We're getting to the sharp end of proceedings now with the first of the drivers involved in the battle for fourth, Mikko Hirvonen. He's up against Petter Solberg. These two will certainly not be afraid of giving the crowd a show, but with an advantage of just 0.8 of a second ahead of Chris Atkinson, Hirvonen will need to concentrate on the job in hand. The competition breaks on these machines. It's the braking speeds as much as the acceleration that's so impressive to watch. Solberg giving it everything into the swimming pool complex and coming up to the first split time. He's 4.1 seconds slower, but again, that's after negotiating the end of straight chicane. Around the tight confines of the streets of Monte-Carlo, the cars will get nowhere near their top speeds of up to 200 kilometers an hour. But here, the skill is all about car control around the sweeping corners. Hirvonen is a second up at the halfway point, and crucially for the Finn, 0.1 of a second can be gained and lost by carrying as much speed as possible through the bends and using as much of the road as possible by keeping to the racing line. A terrific view from on board Mikko's Ford. He's flat out down the famous straight. And this is looking very promising for Mikko. He's 3.4 seconds quicker than Solberg with just the final sector to come. Oh, and look at that. Petter Solberg is not called Hollywood for nothing. A quick donut to entertain the crowd. And it doesn't seem to impress his co-driver Phil Mills. Well, his 6th place is not under threat, so he probably felt he could afford a little showboating. Hirvonen, meanwhile, is through the finish line, and it's been a good performance from the Finn. Now it's his turn to put on a show. He's 6.3 seconds quicker than Solberg, although that donut didn't help the Subaru driver. Crucially, though, Hirvonen's the quickest time on stage 15 so far, so the benchmark has been set for Atkinson to chase.
Mikko, the gap was 0.8 in your favour. It's only a short stage, but there's mistakes can be made in it. Are you shaking your head?
Few small mistakes and that can be it. We will see, I don't know, but okay, nothing I can do anymore. We'll see how Chris drives and hope for the best.
Next up, it's Manfred Stoll against privateer Tony Gardemeister. A good start for both drivers, and Stoll quickly closes on the chicane that's been put in place to keep speeds down at the end of the main straight. And this is where the Rally Super Special leaves the F1 circuit just before the Sainte-Devote corner. A sharp turn to the right down towards the harbour. And then rejoining the F1 circuit on its approach to the swimming pool. Bit of a wobble over the curbs there. Stoll's been hampered by brake problems all weekend, which have prevented the Austrian from getting fully comfortable back behind the wheel of the Citroën Zara. He's 5.2 seconds down so far. coming up to the halfway point. And it's still Gardemeister ahead. It's been great to see the striking Mitsubishi Lancer backing action, and it's certainly still competitive despite still running in 2005 specifications. Gardemeister himself may be frustrated to have lost 6th place to Petter Solberg, but it's still been a fine performance from the Finn, who finished on the podium here last year. And Tony's still visibly in front as they come into the final sector. Actually got an advantage of 4.5 seconds. This should be a comfortable win for Gardemeister. The checkered flag's already waving. Gardemeister is through. A good weekend's work from the Finn, and 2 championship points to start off his season. So, Mikko Hirvonen has set the fastest time so far, but after the break, we'll be seeing Chris Atkinson in action, who comes into this stage just 0.8 of a second behind him. Welcome back to Monte Carlo, where we're about to witness the conclusion to the gripping battle for 4th place. The man hoping to claim 4th from this final stage is Chris Atkinson, who's up against Marcus Gronholm. Atkinson heads off knowing he has to beat Mikko Hirvonen's time of 1 minute 50.9 seconds. Marcus, however, has no need to prove himself. His position is secure barring disaster. He might not have enjoyed the rally, but the result is basically a job done. He'll hope for more on the snow of Sweden and Norway. Still, 6 points here at least will keep him in touch with his arch rival Loeb. As always, it's the driver to head through the chicane first. This time Gronholm, who's behind at the first split. Just over 4 seconds seems to be about the norm. And coming up to the halfway split now. Atkinson's 1.2 seconds quicker than Gronholm, but how does he compare to Hirvonen to this point? Well, he's 0.7 of a second up on his rival for 4th, so there's only another 2 attempts to make up to claim the place. He's so close, but is not quite there yet. The smallest of mistakes could yet make all the difference. He's out for revenge here, of course. He lost 4th place to Mikko on the final stage yesterday, and he's fighting to get it back. It's still looking good after the 3rd split, now 3.3 seconds up on Gronholm. So into the last sector, down towards the swimming pool one last time.
7 left, coast right, 8 open, cut 8 right.
The last few bends coming up, there's the time he has to beat. Mikko's watching on. It's going to be close. He's done it. He beats Mikko by a second to take 4th place by just 0.2 of a second ahead of Hirvonen. A job well done by Chris and co-driver Glenn McNeil. And Hirvonen is the first to congratulate his rival.
Good battle.
Chris Atkinson, 300 Super Special, 218Ks. You've done it. You've beaten Mikko Hirvonen to 4th. I don't think I've seen a 4th race celebrated so much.
It's been a massive battle. So much fun just to be in a battle with these guys again, and we've split the forwards here on tarmac in our second Monte Carlo rally. It's cool. Just Glenn, the whole team, everyone's come so far in the past year, and we can't wait, especially for Mexico with a new car, and just looking forward to the year.
The final pairing is C4 against C4. World champion Sebastian Loeb against his teammate Danny Sordo. And it's more of a victory lap for the 2 drivers who've dominated this event from the start. Oh, but a sluggish getaway for Danny Sordo. He's stalled. The Spaniard had a rather troubled spell at the end of last season, but he's bounced back in tremendous form, looking confident and committed to start the season with a second-place finish, matching his career best. No sign of the terrible mistake he made the last time he tackled a street super special in Cyprus when he crashed out on the first corner. He couldn't have asked for a more confidence-boosting start to 2007, and the third time he's scored a runner-up finish. While his teammate and defending world champion Sebastian Loeb is on course to start the season with a 9. This will be his 4th victory here in Monte-Carlo, the 29th of his career. No driver has won so many rallies as this 32-year-old Frenchman. Unsurprisingly, after that stall, Sordo's well off the pace after the second marker. Loeb, of course, has some pedigree on circuits, having tackled the Le Mans 24-hour race twice in recent years. Seb's co-driver Daniel Elena has also put in a faultless performance this weekend, and Citroën couldn't have asked for a more perfect return to the WRC fold. And all this with a brand new car and a driver with a sore arm. Into the sweeping bends of the Harbourside Road for the final time, and a stylish finish to another perfect performance from Loeb. A terrific spectacle to finish the 75th Rallye Monte-Carlo. Atkinson's efforts to claim 4th see him claim the fastest time on stage 15, while the Citroën celebrations can begin in earnest. So, confirmation that Sebastian Loeb takes the honours in the first round of 2007, with his Citroën teammate second and Ford's Marcus Grönholm third, while Atkinson just beat Hirvonen in that thrilling battle for 4th, ahead by just 0.2 of a second. And here are the drivers' points for the top 8, privateer Tony Gardemeister and Jan Kopecky bringing up the rear.
Sebastian, first rally back since breaking the arm, debut for the C4. It's just absolutely perfect. It's a victory.
Yeah, it's a victory, and my 4th in Monte Carlo, so that's a great moment. I like to start the season like this with 10 points. That's really important for me. The feeling is good. That the car, I think, is really fast. My arm is going much better, so everything is perfect for the moment. A good start for the season, and hopefully we'll be able to continue like this and to win some other victories this year.
And that perfect start reflected in the first manufacturer's table of the season, with Citroën claiming a maximum 18 points from the rally, Ford second with 10, and Subaru third on 8.
Guy, congratulations, a fantastic start for the C4.
Yes, thank you very much, and it's really a fantastic start for Citroën, for the team, for the crews. It's really fantastic, and for the C4 for sure.
Did you ever have any doubts that the C4 would not compare to the Zara?
Now I think we know that it's like this. We knew that in the test the C4 was a little bit faster than the Zara, but we are waiting before the rally to know if it's correct or not, and now we know that the C4 is a little bit faster than the Zara in the rally. It's really for us it's really fantastic.
And now you're looking to claim back the manufacturer's championship from Ford, yes?
We will try to have the championship at the end of the season, but it's a long way. It's only the first rally, you know, and I know that Ford and Marcus and Hirvonen will be very fast also in the other rally, not only on the tarmac.
Next up is Sweden, the first of a double bill of pure snow rallies. Marcus Grönholm won last year and will be hoping to repeat that feat. There's a full preview of the Swedish rally on WRC.com. Happy birthday to you. But for now, the Citroën success story continues as the team start the new season with another flawless performance.